Flexicult Vet is a culture medium for diagnosing urinary tract infections in dogs and cats. Flexicult Vet is a 24-hour culture test for identification and susceptibility test of the bacteria against 5 antibiotics after collecting the sample. Flexicult Vet is an agar plate where you can identify and determine resistance of bacteria. The agar plate is divided into one large compartment for the quantitative determination, CFU per milliliters, and 5 small compartments each containing specific antibiotics. It's possible to choose antibiotics according to the national guidelines. Prior to the use of Flexicult Vet, control the shelf life of the plate. The expiration date is printed on the bottom of the plate. Furthermore, it is necessary to check that plate and agar are intact and that the plate has not been contaminated. The collection of the urine sample must be as sterile as possible to avoid contamination from the animal's microflora. The sample should always be fresh and used within 30 minutes of collecting the sample. If it isn't possible to conduct the analysis after collecting the sample, the specimen must be stored cool until the analysis can be commenced. There are 2 methods of culture. One method for a large volume sample and one for a smaller volume sample. Now I want to demonstrate the first method with a large volume urine. It's important to turn the urine. You can turn it about 10 times to be sure to have a homogeneous sample. Pouring the sample onto the plate must not take longer than 3 to 5 seconds. And make sure that the urine covers all compartments. However, it's important that urine which has been in contact with the 5 antibiotics compartments does not come in contact with the counting compartment. Any excess urine left in the agar plate may be removed by tapping it lightly against a waste container. Again, make sure not to get urine from the 5 antibiotics compartments into the counting compartment. Apply the lid and incubate the sample for 18 to 24 hours at 35 degrees Celsius. It's important that the temperature in the incubator does not exceed 37 degrees Celsius, as this might impact the testing result. It's also important that the agar plate is turned face down during incubation. I'm now going to demonstrate the second method you can use if you only have a small sample volume. In this case, you can use a pipette and apply the sample material in drops. Again, it's important to mix the sample in order to obtain a good homogeneous mixture for the analysis. When using a pipette, put 2 to 3 drops in each compartment with antibiotics. And 6 to 8 drops in the large counting compartment. Again, it's important that the urine gets into contact with all of the agar compartments, which is why I briefly tilt the agar plate. In case of any excess urine on the agar plate, this can be removed by tapping the plate against a waste container. Be aware that samples from the antibiotics compartments must not get into contact with the counting compartment. Place the lid onto the plate and remember that the agar plate must be put face down into the incubator at 35 to 37 degrees overnight.